Our last section in chapter 1 gets into dividing whole numbers. And again, I'm not going to be going over our times tables. So if you memorize, your times tables up through 10 or 12, 9 times 6, 9 times 7, 9 times 8, then that, multiplication is the opposite of division. So if you know that 4 times 5 equals 20, then 20 divided by 5 will equal 4. 20 divided by 4 will equal 5. So those numbers all correlate with multiplication and division. Same thing with addition and subtraction. 4 plus 5 equals 9. So 9 minus 5 will equal 4. 9 minus 4 will equal 5. So those three numbers are all correlated. They have a nice special relationship with each other. So same thing is true with multiplication and division. So again, not going to spend time on multiplication tables, division tables, understanding what, 45 divided by 9 is. We want to make sure that we know our times tables, so take some time to get those memorized if you haven't done so already. What I want to do is just make sure we have a refresher on how to do long division. I know everybody hates long division, but we're going to spend some time and just make sure we know the basics as a little refresher. So we have 51,492 divided by 9. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at this number and see if it can go into the first number here. Does 9 go into 5? No. So we know that it's going to have to go in the first two numbers. The reason why that's important is it gives us an indication of where we're going to put our number, where we're going to start our number on top. Since we're going into the 51, we're going to be putting it over the last number that we go into. So when we finally start our number up on top, our quotient, we're going to start it over the 1 and not the 5. Okay? So 9 goes into 51. So we know that 9 times 5 is 45. So we're going to put a 5 up here. And then we're going to take the first number of our quotient and multiply it by the 9. So 5 times 9 is 45. And then we subtract. So 51 minus 45 will equal 6. And then we bring down our next number, which will be 4. So 9 goes into 64. How many times does 9 go into this number? So we're not kind of looking at this number anymore. We're kind of working our way down. So 9 goes into 64 3 times. 3 times 9 equals 63. And we kind of just go through this whole process again. So 64 minus 63 is 1. We bring down our next number, which is going to be a 9. 9 goes into 19 2 times. 2 times 9 equals 18, which 19 minus 18 will equal 1. And then we bring down our last number, which is a 2. 9 goes into 12 one time. 1 times 9 is 9. And we have 3 left over. Now in grade school, we were taught to go ahead and just put a remainder of 3. If you do that, that's fine, as long as you recognize that that's the end of this problem. We're done. Another way that you can write this that I would like you to remember is that this 3 is left over out of a 9. Okay, so we have 5,321 and 3 9s. Now we haven't learned how to reduce fractions or anything, but this is the same thing as 1/3. We'll get to that in a later chapter in Math 1. But we just want to make sure we understand the steps for long division. So we look at our divisor. The number on the outside is our divisor. The number underneath is called our dividend, and the answer is called the quotient. So we see what number we can actually put our divisor into. We had to go into the first two numbers, and that's where we start our number on top. Now, a couple other things you might see in the chapter is division problems written in a different way. So this is our nice long division sign. But we also might see it written with the obelus. And the obelus is this fraction line, or this little line with the 2 dots. So this is the same thing. This is a fraction line, and it just has, 2 dots in place of the numbers. So this number would go on top, this number would go on the bottom, and it would fill in those two dots. So these two problems, 4,933 divided by 21, are the same thing. What we want to remember is it's the bottom number or the second number that goes on the outside of our long division. Okay, so that goes on the outside, and that way when we do our long division, it's set up correctly. We want our divisor on the outside, our dividend on the inside. So if we're doing this problem, we would write it with the 21 on the outside and the 4933 on the inside. And because this has two numbers, we have to look at these two numbers and see which one it'll go into. So the divisor, even though it's two numbers, we still follow the same rule. So 21 will go into 49, and it'll go in 2 times. And because it'll go into 49, we write it over top of the last number that we're going into. So 2 times 21 is going to be 42. 9 minus 2 is 7. Bring down the 3. And then we just see how many times does 21 go into 73. It'll go into it 3 times with a total of 63. And then that'll be 103. And then we just see how many times 21 goes into 103. So even if the divisor is multiple digits, we still do division the same way. We just kind of see how many times this divisor will go into the first number or the second number or the third number. And then just make sure that when we start writing our quotient, we write it over top of the last number that we go into.